'Cause I'm about that. 'Cause I'm about that. I'm about that come up, running up on them fools and talking foolish. Try to get them funds up, killing the mic just like I ran and Jules in. Y'all gonna get done up front, knowing that kid with an attitude, but you can't really blame this motherfucker. So what he had to do, turn. I'm about that cash flipping, I'm getting it on and off the market. Not about that VIP, not me, not never been a fan of carpets. All about that RIP for all of my Jesus gone departed. All about that finish when I started, I'm about that.
Talk down the night, you're not ready. We ride, we're about that. So high, we see the whole city. We own the night. Down the night, you're not ready. We ride, we're about that. So high, we see the whole city. We own the night.
Know that I'm about it. Want it, man, I can bring the drama. But it ain't by chance that I'm fucking rapping. You don't really want a problem. Made a little cash in the back end, but still rapping, they call me starving. Yeah, y'all gotta ask who the man is. Hope I'm gonna be like, beg your pardon. I'm about that.
Talk down the night, you're not ready. We ride, we're about that. So high, we see the whole city. We own the night. Down the night, you're not ready. We ride, we're about that. So high, we see the whole city. We own the night.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the YSN Power Hour. It's a special Tuesday edition. We got a lot to talk about, but to kick us off, as we always do, it is National Something Day, and today is National Mail Order Catalog Day. I know there's a lot of people that thought that there would be a word replaced with catalog. So my question to you, and keep in mind, this is a PG-rated show. What is your your favorite mail order catalog you got back in the day? I'm just going to start it off. It was always a celebration when we got the East Bay catalog. It was awesome just being able to flip through those ads and the shoes and all the gear and stuff, and just wishful thinking as a young buck in East Palestine. But that was my favorite mail day, I guess you could say. Over to Quinn and JB.
Yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of the East Bay catalog too. The Finish Line catalog that would come out, pretty much any catalog that had like the shoes in it, I was a big fan of.
Mine would be the SI swimsuit edition.
It's not a mail order catalog.
That's not a mail. My mom didn't order through the mail.
Oh my god!
I'm not gonna lie. I did not know what a mail order catalog was. I just went off the first one that came to my head.
Next box.
On to Billy Mack.
I think the only two that I can remember were East Bay and like Sears. So
Sears, yep.
yeah, so those are about the only two that I can remember.
All right, EB, you got anything other than East Bay?
I'd probably be with Billy Mack. Probably the Sears or JCPenney's back in the day when they were an actual thing. I was totally waiting for Betos to say, "I need a mail order bride," but I mean, that's where I'm at.
It's a blow up doll. Don't get it wrong.
Oh boy!
Oh boy!
We have derailed already. All 3 minutes and 55 seconds in with an intro. We go to Ty Bartell for this.
You know, I really don't think I really used any of the mail order catalogs. I know my brothers and my sisters did when growing up, but I don't recall ever using anything like that when or even looking at anything like that when growing up or anything.
All right, over to Paulie. You had a select few, I guess you could say. You probably have seen the most amongst all of us.
Yeah, my biggest one always was, like Evie and them said, was the JCPenney one, because when you're a little kid, you get that, and you went immediately to the toys, and you circled all the little toys that you wanted to get for Christmas, and that was your Christmas picking item out there. And eBay was always good. That was for me
East
around
Bay, not eBay.
Sorry, East Bay. East Bay was eBay's where we go now. Not
Come on, Jeff.
But yeah, East Bay was good for high school and stuff. But most recently, I have ordered something from mail order catalog, some cigars. Ordered some cigars.
All right, Anthony Malone, we are on to you. Sorry, we skipped over Anthony Hartwig. We'll go to Anthony Malone. We'll come back to you, Ant. Anthony Malone.
Oh, go ahead. My bad. For me, it's got to be East Bay. The best mail order catalog when you were a kid. Getting the East Bay catalog, circling what you like, which you'll never get in your entire life. But it was one of the best highlights of every football season.
Anthony Hartwig, yours.
Y'all had some sad childhood getting toys from J.C. Penney and Sears. I'm always be a Toys R Us kid, guys. Toys R Us, where it's at.
Wow,
Bro, it's because you weren't even alive when it came out.
Yeah, why you got to judge our childhoods like that?
Yeah.
Why are you getting? I didn't even know J.C. Penney sold toys back in the day.
Once again,
They
you
had a
weren't even
toy
alive
section?
when these things came out.
Yeah.
I remember J.C. Penney. That's where I got my football uniforms, like the little kid football uniforms. That's all I got from J.C. Penney, though.
Well,
Luke Schuster's
newsflash.
dropping in a Sky Mall.
Sky Mall. Yeah.
Prime Mall.
Not
He's
everybody
living.
had
He's
Schuster
living the
money.
luxurious life as MLO bro in the sky. He goes away from East Bay and goes to Sky Mall.
Yeah. They lived in the Highlands. They had money.
Guys, I don't even know how to describe what we watched from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. There was a lot said and a lot enacted, and then there was Wi-Fi issues like we've been having, which made me feel a little bit better about where we're at. If the governor's having internet issues, then I don't feel so bad. But let's react to this. I mean, from all signs, it is a go for sports this fall, but there are caveats, and there are a many. Paul, you were able to jump back on to the press conference when we were setting up for the show. What did you take away from that press conference that really stood out to you?
Besides story time that almost put us all to sleep at the beginning, he kept leading up to it, and with that doctor that he brought on there, you could kind of tell after that doctor talked, the doctor encouraged, said, yeah, I'd let my kids play sports as long as their environment around them was safe. I immediately thought in my head, I'm like, he's letting this go. I was like, sports they're gonna be a go. And sure enough, about 5 minutes later, he lets them go. And we're gonna have sports now. All sports are a go. And they're gonna have all kind of different little guidelines that they're gonna put out here in the next. I'm still kind of watching it here over the top of the TV. They're still gonna have all kind of guidelines put out here. That all the ADs and administrators have a phone call meeting tonight around 7 o'clock, I think it was. So they're going to get some more guidelines on stuff, because the one thing immediately while this was going on, I was sending some text messages to some of our ADs asking them this question. He just said parents only allowed in the stands. How is that going to work? And they all said, well, we can't tell who family and parents are. So they're going to just go ahead and sell their tickets as normal. I said, well, is there a cap? I mean, I had like 3 or 4 ADs on my messages. I'm like, are they giving you a cap right now? They said, we won't know till later tonight. But as of right now, they're not limiting us on how many fans were allowed in the stands.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, wow. And they said, but most likely it's going to be a limit. But like, if they don't give us a limit, then we're going to have to make it our own decision on how many people we're letting in. And I was quite interested in that. So tonight, I think they're going to get a lot more answers on their phone call they make. And when this comes out and he lets these guidelines get out to the government's page, we'll be able to read it as well and see if there is anything in there. I mean, I know I watched the board meeting last night, and I can speak just for the school that I work for, South Range. And the athletic director there said, we're selling to our football, band, and flag line parents first. And after that, each parent's going to get an opportunity to buy 4 tickets. Then each student will be allowed to buy 1 ticket, and anything left over, maybe they'll let into the fans, but they're capping it at 1,500. Now that's one school, but we'll see if that changes or not.
Yeah, I have some interest in a couple of things that you said, and a couple things that I've heard already. I mean, naturally, the schools are going to want to produce revenue, right? That's the number one goal, other than having a season, is how do we generate revenue from this? And from the sounds of it, and you said that Lieutenant Governor Houston got on and said that there
I forgot about that.
Go ahead.
So yeah, when the internet issues corrected themselves, DeWine sent it over to Houston, and Houston said, listen, we're happy that everybody's going to get what they want with sports. Go ahead and play, but be careful, make sure you're wearing your mask and social distancing. And they said the guidelines that they're going to set forth tonight and they'll put in act tomorrow, he said, we're going to be heavily monitoring them, and it's going to be with the local health departments, and they're going to send local health departments out to these activities. So he said, don't be surprised on Friday nights if you don't see somebody from the Board of Health at a football game. And if people aren't social distancing, wearing masks and thing, he said they are instructed to shut it down, and you will forfeit that contest, and they could forfeit a season to a team if they get too many violations. So, and we already had, like I talked about a week or so ago, we've already had a school in our system, in our YSN family. They've been fined twice for violating these guidelines.
Yeah, Luke Schuster commenting saying, DeWine, let them play sports. People get sick, blame schools. People don't get sick. He looks like a hero. The best play as a politician possible. So basically, instead of kicking the can down the road, he basically kicked it over to the schools and said, it's your deal, but we will be watching. And what's interesting enough is, talking to Dana Balish over at Channel 21 WFMJ, our partner, which will have a 640 special tonight, which myself, Ron Potesta, Gary Houstu, and Dana Balish will all talk about this, amongst other things. But 14 schools just in this area, in the Valley, have had to shut down operations due to a positive test of COVID. If that's the case, let's go down to EB. Do you see the season happening past week 1?
Yeah, I think it still happens. I think a lot of schools will try to manage it like they're doing right now, to where, you've had a couple or a handful of schools that have gotten a positive test. They shut it down for a couple of days, probably make sure there's no spread, and then it's business as usual. So there's really no perfect answer to this of what to do, because no one really knows. Outside of that, what else can you do? You can't shut down for 2 weeks, because 2 weeks is, 40% of your season?
Yep.
More than that? So you could that means you could have teams have 0 wins, 0 losses, walk straight into the playoffs, and do whatever they need to do, So game 1 is a playoff game. So how fair would that be? I think you just try to limit and you control what's going on. I think Crestview they shut down for a couple of days. They had it all limited to, no contact, no spread, nothing like that. And then a couple of days later, they're back to business as usual.
Anthony Malone, we turn to you. You are, very knowledgeable in the health field, but you're also a big sports fan. Do you feel that, given Governor DeWine's press conference, that this is a great opportunity for kids, or do you see this as he's waiting for the other shoe to drop and he's just waiting for an example?
I think he's going to give them a chance. I really do think that he wants this to happen for them. During the conference, he even said, this was beneficial for my children. So that's what he's kind of leaning towards. But he did bring in the doctor to talk about what needs to be done if somebody does test positive. And I think that he may reevaluate in September. I think that's a really good possibility. In fact, it would be a governor who listens to health departments pretty heavily, as DeWine does. That's probably what he's going to be doing. But I was surprised to hear that he was willing to go forward with everything. But I'm pleasantly surprised in that manner. But I do think that, as we've already seen just in August with practices, it's going to be a tough season where, your Monday meeting as a team, you formulate a game plan for how you're going to play a game. If you can't have that Monday practice, including Tuesday practice, it can be very troublesome. So it's going to be tough for these schools to keep at it and be able to not to go through these practices in short periods of time.
Yeah, I'm really interested. Here's a take I'm really interested in. We go to the middle of the Brady bunch. Ty Bartell, you were the Grim Reaper for some amount of weeks, and you said you were going to have to eat some crow. Do you still feel the same way, or how do you feel now knowing what Governor DeWine said?
Yeah, and I am going to eat crow, because I said that I said for weeks that I didn't think the season was going to happen, and you know what? I am happy that it is happening. I was never one hoping that it wasn't going to happen. I was just feeling like it wasn't based on how he was and the whole situation. The only thing I'm going to say about it, and it's more of, I guess, heed the warning to these schools and to these players, just don't be reckless with it. Because you have this opportunity to play now, don't think that he can't just pull the rug out from under you at any time now. Don't be reckless. Be smart about your decisions, because not only your decision, if you go out, you be reckless, you get sick, you're not only costing your whole team a season, you might be costing the whole state of Ohio a season. So just don't be reckless. Just be smart about this, because you especially the seniors, this could be their last chance for a lot of these seniors to play, and you don't want to ruin that season for them.
Another gentleman who thought the other way, Billy Mack. When you look at what the governor said, what's your immediate reaction?
Well, first it was the reverse psychology that I played for the last couple of weeks to make this happen. So I'm glad I did that. So I'm excited. I think one of the things I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, but so all over the place really for me to kind of follow and listen, but I heard he's good for even with the winter sports. Is that was good? And he said reevaluate in the spring about this order, but you never know what the future can hold. Did I hear that right or no?
I didn't hear anything about winter sports.
Okay. All right. Well, then, either way, I'm glad with football, and I think this is a good thing. I still think about 3 to 4 weeks is probably going to be, for most schools, something's going to come up in the school system with some type of false positive test or just a positive test in general.
Jeff and Quinn, I mean, a different kind of question to you guys. If schools are going online only or are providing that online only option for their students, is it fair that they don't have to go to school and then can go and play contact sports in the evening? Quinn, we'll go to you first.
I mean, I'm a little torn on it, honestly, because I kind of understand the basic of, like, you need the revenue that football is going to create, so that you kind of need to play football even if you don't go to school in person. But at the same time, I kind of see it as, like, if you're not in school, like, you can't play, because, like, last year, like, basically it's if you don't go to school, you can't practice or you can't play or anything like that.
Correct.
In the regular context of what's going on. So, like, I'm kind of still sticking to that policy, I guess. But at the same time, I understand, like, you need the revenue. So, like, I'm right in the middle.
Jeff, what's your take?
See, I'm total opposite. If you're going to do online, like, just use the city of Youngstown as an example, because they have already come out and said they're 100% online. I don't think that it should be playing sports at all, because you look at when he shut down the schools last year, he ruined the basketball season for basketball, and he ruined the swim, and he ruined all those sports. And said, he ruined baseball and all those sports, and saying you can't go, you can't play, and if you're going to do online learning, I'm a big believer. Don't go. You can't play. You have to try to at least go to school then.
Well, we had another school today do it. Gerard went all online too. I saw that.
See, this is very interesting, because, I mean, let's say if you don't go to school, then, I mean, online and physically going to school, obviously two different elements, right? So if you are good enough to go to school and make it through the day, then you should be able to suit up, so to speak, right? But I think there's going to be an element where if you're online learning, you can kind of sell out a little bit, right? And kind of, just, I don't want to say mail it in, because that's not right, but you're not there physically, so there's not much stress. And then you can go out on a Friday night and play if you are sick. So my question is, what kind of precautions are going to be taken? Anthony, can you see this being a problem in the immediate, especially as we move towards, let's say we get past 4 weeks, weeks 5, week 6, now you're moving into flu season. Does it become an issue? Anthony Hartwig, sorry.
Okay.
I hate this.
No, it's like I'm kind of torn like Quinn, because I get the need for sports, and also I get the need that you want to try to lower exposure of these athletes as much as possible. We see it in some college football teams, separating them from campus. But it's also, like you said, it's kind of hard to see someone online learning, and then what are they doing with the time that they're not using to, the 2 hours a day that they learn online? What are they doing the rest of the day? And then they could go on Friday night and be sick and play. And I think being at school with your peers is just as important for mental health as playing in sports. So I think a lot of non-athlete parents would be upset if they made all virtual online and then came out and said you could play sports, because then all the other activities might go away other than sports if there's only virtual learning.
we're gonna take a time out here. We're gonna look at the dork in the middle, who we had a nice enough. The MLO bros, Luke and Isaac Schuster, send us over a bunch of stuff, and I had, what is it, Dairy Queen? I don't even know. Jeff
Yeah.
decides that he's gonna go take it upon himself to celebrate our birthday, and he's been here for like 3 days.
Yeah. Does it? Well, look. Does it look like Jeff's going to miss a meal?
It's yeah. Luke sent us some presents. Thank you, Luke. Jeff's enjoying himself. The chili cheese dog.
Luke said I had to do
So-
it, DJ.
I didn't even get to say thank you or even notice that it's our freaking birthday today, and the Cookie Monster is eating hot dogs in our freaking studio. Thanks. Appreciate you.
Again, doesn't look like he missed a meal, right? Look at it.
I just, like, I'm not going to fat shame the kid, but I mean, come
I
on,
will.
man.
Do it.
Take a breath.
Do it.
7 weeks.
Luke said
There you go. Mute him.
Oh, here we go. 20. Luke says 20 chili dogs and a cake.
And a cake. Wow.
And happy birthday, YSN.
Oh, what a nice job, Big Head.
All right. Thanks, Luke Schuster.
Yeah.
That is disgusting. Thank you for that. Thank you, Luke, for the birthday presents. It is our 3rd birthday here on at YSN. It's been 3 awesome years. All these guys, a big part of what we're doing, minus the Cookie Monster in the middle, that wants to. Well, how many? Did you grab 2 chili dogs, by the way?
No, he's got one.
I saw him double fisted in the back. I did. I saw it with my own eyes. Where's the other one?
Over.
So
Yeah.
if you're out there and you want to come get a chili dog, you're more than welcome to it. If you're a fan, if you're out there, come get a chili dog. We're going to celebrate sports being played here in Ohio. I'm excited. And, of course, don't forget tonight, I will be with the MLO Bros on their Facebook channel. We will share it here on YSN as well. With Luke and Isaac, we'll be talking about the governor's decision. We'll also be talking a little bit about how YSN has changed over the course of 3 years, and also how it is going to change immensely here in about 2 weeks when we have live video for the majority, if not all, of our YSN team. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Back to the governor's press conference, guys. We knew it was going to be all reactionary when it came down to it. Are you pleased with the way that the governor kind of put things on a tee for the OHSAA? Yes, no, maybe. We'll go to EB first.
Yeah, because at least it gets a ball rolling. You know, we waited and we all sat here and I guess bitched about not having a decision or anything like that. So yeah, at least we got something. He was pretty, you know, outside of his buy my books and story time with Fran, like he came out right away. I think when the doctor came on, we were all a little nervous because it sounded like he was setting us up to fail a little bit. And then, you know, the doctor was like, yeah, this is great for mental health and all this other stuff. And he just came out and he said, we're going to proceed with it. So I was expecting
here's a
him
question.
to, like,
Here's a little bit of a twist for you, because we all had a group chat going whenever the doctor came on, and obviously before. But when the doctor came on, I just said, oh boy, because they brought the governor from, or I'm sorry, the doctor from Ohio State. Ohio State is at this moment not playing any fall sports.
The Ohio State.
Sorry, Billy, the Ohio State University. So when you look at why they would bring him on, do you think an argument now grows for Ohio State players, parents, Big Ten to say, well, if you're going to let these kids play football, why can't we play football? Because let's face it, you have to anticipate that the Browns and the Bengals are going to be playing football as well. We'll go to you, Mr. The Ohio State University.
Yeah, that was the first thing on our pregame. We were just kind of sitting here, and I said, does this open the door for Ohio State to maybe come back into play now that the state's kind of a green light to play football in some capacity? So I'm sure that they had some sort of influence out there with the governor's decision.
Yeah, I disagree. My thing is you look at high schools. They're only traveling maybe county to county or inside their county. You know, and you were saying, oh, this guy's from Ohio State, and if I don't think Ohio State had a big decision in and shutting
Ohio
doing
State.
that. The Ohio State. Sorry, my thing was I disagreed with that. Ohio State got they were handcuffed. It was the presidents and the commissioners of the Big Ten who shut them down. They shut the entire league down. Those guys are traveling from state to state. You're going to Illinois, you're going to Iowa, you're going to Pennsylvania, you're going to Nebraska. You know, you're traveling all over. And the other thing is they've got students from all over the world who go to that university. Not just people from Ohio. They got people from all over the world who go to that university, and that those athletes, when they're in class, are exposed to. And that's where I think that's the big difference between the college aspect of it. You know, the pros is going to be almost like high school. Pros hey guys, we're staying in our little facility. You guys stay here. We're going to practice.
And college guys can't do that. High schools are doing virtual training, virtual online classes. College football guys can't do that. College football in general.
You know, maybe they could, but I mean that's just another aspect.
I think they're
the big
more
thing
well
is their
prepared
travel
for that.
though too. Their travel. I mean, you can't keep them in a bubble and travel to Penn State.
There's no bubble in Ohio. There's no bubble around Columbiana County, Mahoning County, Trumbull County. I mean, Trumbull County was red for the longest time, and they had to wear a mask long before Mahoning and Columbiana were mandated that they had to. When this whole thing started, remember, people from PA weren't even allowed to buy beer over here. Yeah. So I mean, there was an invisible line, not even 2 miles down the road from East Palestine, where our headquarters are located. So I don't buy the travel thing anymore, because it's these state lines aren't. I mean, a virus is just going to go pump the brakes. You know, when it's moving from Pennsylvania to Ohio and be like, whoa, we went too far. I got to go back to Chippewa. No, look, it crosses. It
is going to cross, and I agree. It is going to cross because it's obviously crossed, you know, borders of countries and the sea and the oceans and all that stuff. I 100% agree that it can travel anywhere. But what I think the colleges looked at was it is more risk to travel from Ohio State or the Ohio State to Iowa, to Nebraska, and having those kids go there and get exposed to those people, come back home, and then go to Penn State and be exposed to those people and come back home. I think it's a lot easier to manage your high school kids. The one thing I wanted to get on with the online thing, would it be a pain in the butt for me with my kids? Absolutely. But if you're looking at it in a sports aspect, I almost think schools probably should go to online for at least maybe the first 9 weeks. And then you can actually, in a smaller bubble your athletes. Football players hang out with the football players. Volleyball with volleyball.
No, because if you, and this is my personal opinion, if you have to take kids out of the classroom and put them at home for online schooling, there's no way you can put them in a huddle. You just can't. Reasonable, like any parent that doesn't have a kid that plays sports is going to argue up and down, because their whole job, and I'm sure that you guys saw some of the comments that were being had on that. I mean, there are parents that kids don't play sports, and they're saying, you're telling me that my kid can't go and be with their friends at school, but they can go out on a Friday night and be at a football game. And there is some legitimacy to that. I see their point.
Yeah, they already think that high school athletes already get a special treatment in high schools in general. Now that would escalate it.
This is a rocket ship right now. Yeah. And we knew there was going to be some hot takes, and we knew there was going to be some takes that were sure to go wrong, and some of us made those to make the show a little bit more exciting. But I'll say this, guys, I think that there's going to be some trouble with not allowing your kids to walk through the halls of the high school and being able to line them up on a Friday night and play somebody else who might not even be from the same county you are, Paul. To your point, if they're not from the same county, how do you justify that?
Yeah, the thing is with like not letting your kids go through the halls. That's my point. Is if you take Billy and Billy's going to be around Johnny, and Johnny's not a football player or anything, and they have to be sitting next to each other in class or walking through the hallways with each other, and Johnny might give something to Billy. Now, guess what? Billy gives it to the football team. Whereas if all the football kids and all the volleyball kids and cross country and soccer, they're all at home, and they're in their houses, and they're only exposed to their teammates and their coaches, I think you run the risk is lower being around less kids for the time being.
Until Friday night.
And then Friday night, they're still around their football players, and those kids, hopefully are being tested with, taking their temperatures and make sure nobody's got anything. So when they line up against, their rivals on Friday night, they're only around those kids.
But and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony or anybody that's had this, is you don't even show symptoms sometimes until 4 or 5 days after you've had it. So if they don't show symptoms on a Friday night and yet they're in there, and let's say a tackle happens, and listen, if you hit somebody in the stomach, there's going to be a little bit of something coming out in one orifice or another, whether sweat, spit, or something else. It's going to come out and it's going to touch you. This is what everybody was afraid of, the fear. I just don't understand how we are still afraid of it, living in our fears in one hand, right here, and the other hand we're going to say, but we know that football is important to these schools' revenue, because that's what they're saying. They're not saying that it's gonna, because if this was the case, that they were just going to let them play the game, they wouldn't send people out on a Friday night to dictate how many people are in the stands. They wouldn't count how many people are in the stands, and they would have given us a hell of a better excuse, probably a lot sooner than a week before the season, and said, hey, they could have made this 3 months ago with the case that they made today. I was hoping for a lot more clarity. I was hoping for a lot more reasonable explanation of this is why we waited until a week and a half prior to the week 1 of football, because these kids deserve more. These coaches deserve more. These coaches, these athletic directors, you talk to athletic directors, Paul, all the time. They were planning for basically 2 different seasons. It's hard enough to plan one. So the governor had some explaining, still has some explaining to do. But again, I really think he is just waiting on some bad news from one school that is going to put the kibosh on all of this.
So something to think about that to go along with this is, you're right that you may show symptoms. You may not show symptoms at all. You might be someone who is considered a carrier, but is not actually affected by it. However, when you do the temperature checks, that is those that are clearly symptomatic and showing right now. That's why we kind of do the temperature checks to kind of trace it down from there. But the idea right now, to give you all something kind of like to think about in September, they will be coming out with, I don't know how well it's going to be mass produced, but we are doing a saliva check that seems to be pretty accurate, as well as an antigen check, which is almost 100% accurate. And those are supposed to be cheaper tests that are possibly coming in September. And one of the tests is potentially done within about an hour's time for 50 people. Will it be available for high school sports? I have no idea. But in September, we're supposed to have better testing options. And that's the biggest problem right now, is we only can get maybe up to 3 days to 10 days for a physical COVID test. So that's the biggest step to think about when it comes to testing. And it's going to be an issue. I feel like the Governor Wine just said, have at it, and we'll see what happens in September.
I'm with you. We're going to take a quick break. We've got a lot more to talk about when we come back. We're going to talk about what now. Where do we go from here? We're going to talk about waving to the crowd. Who's going to be in the crowd whenever those touchdowns and goals are scored? We're also going to talk about Tatis hitting his grand slam on a 3-0 count, up by 7. Should he apologize, or should he have apologized? Yes or no? And then we're going to talk about, kind of off that, the worst unwritten rules that we know of in any particular sport that we've heard of. And we'll also remind you about the YSN boot camp starting tomorrow night. All that and more, including our G. Burbick Farms What's Your Beef, right here on the YSN Power Hour. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
plush limousine. I'm feeling pretty good about myself, like I'm living the dream. Platform shoes, strutting down the street. It's gonna get hot in here, I hope you can handle the heat.
Over the years, you watched us grow, and as we've done, so has the Myers Family Insurance team.
Thanks to all of you who have trusted our families to help you with your Medicare needs.
Myers Family Insurance looks forward to helping you now for years to come. So call our family today and remind them how cute we are.
Myers Family Insurance continues to be the area's resource for all your Medicare and retirement needs. Call today, 330-286-3044.
And welcome back to the YSN Power Hour. Whoa. Somebody's got to turn their microphone or their stuff down, their audio. Welcome back to the YSN Power Hour. DJ Yoakley and a few of my friends. Once again, thanks to Luke Schuster and Isaac Schuster, the MLO Bros, for, the Dairy Queen cake over there is humongous. And it does say that we are the meat between their buns right on the cake. I'll make sure I take a picture of that and send it out on our personal social media page. Unfortunately, Luke, that doesn't really qualify for YSN and that. And there goes the Cookie Monster chasing another chili dog.
But I'm only going right to Austin Town. I'm
So-
going like
There goes that.
a mile over.
Disappeared too.
It's on my way to
Guys,
go
a little FYI for
Get
tonight,
off the
as
exit,
you
drop
can
them
probably
off,
hear
and go.
Paul talk about right now. Hang on.
Jeff literally ran
Do
over
you
the
guys
entire
want to go?
cake.
Yes or no?
Yes, we want to go, Paul.
We're going to go ahead and mic Paul for a minute. Guys, when you have, tonight we have a chance to have, oh my gosh. we have a charity championship game for baseball, probably the last baseball game that we will have tonight. The call will be from Ty Bartell and Paul Munson. The game starts at 7 o'clock. You can join them about 6:55 for the pregame. Howland and Austintown Fitch from Austintown Fitch Stadium, the beautiful turf out there in Austintown. And I'll tell you what, Ty, you got to be excited for this. Your first baseball game this year, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm excited, especially since Fitch's season got canceled just like everyone else's did for baseball. I kind of missed out on that opportunity. I was super excited to call all the Fitch's games, but at least we'll be able to get one in tonight and a little preview of getting to call games again before football season starts. So I'm really excited for tonight.
Paul, what's your take on tonight's game? Dynamite drop in.
It's gonna be real good tonight.
It's oh, and look, Jeff Bezos dropping it in. It was a frozen cake, he says. Yeah, it is a frozen cake, Jeff. Thanks for taking care of that before you grabbed 2 hot dogs and ran for the hills.
He's got a plate of cake here too.
He's got what?
He's going to start eating that cake soon.
No, he's not. No, he's not. I trust me. There will be a beatdown if he starts eating cake without us. There's no candles. Like we need to sing happy birthday to YSN, right? That's how it works with birthdays, right? Jeff, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm going to put part of the mouse, but yeah, I won't eat that cake until you sing happy birthday to you.
It's not my birthday. It's YSN's birthday.
Go, Prez, go. We have to sing to you.
You came in saying happy birthday. It's not my birthday. My birthday's in February, dude.
Oh, mine too.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, here we go.
Can I get a new birthday? How do we trade those in? Yeah, take that one back. Let's guys. I guess the simplest question is this: what now? What happens now? We discussed it a little bit, kind of, just the top of the mountain. What do you think happens now? If you have a crystal ball, you look into it. What do you see 2-3 weeks down the road whenever this thing really kicks into gear? Soccer's freed up, lacrosse is freed up, football's freed up, all the other sports are good to go. What happens now? EB, lead us off once more, please.
I think from the team standpoint, nothing really changes. These guys have been prepping like nothing's going, like they're going to have a season, so nothing really changes for these guys. It's more so. It sounds like it's more so going to be on the schools and the supers and ADs and kind of see what they have to do with the fan attendance and everything else. So that's going to get to be the tricky part, especially if you're going to have the health department kind of floating around and counting numbers. I can totally see them limiting total numbers to an attendance where they have to have people outside with clickers or counters or anything like that, and they really drop it down to if you seat 5,000 people, you can only have 1,000 or 1,500 or anything like that. I think that's probably what's going to come, and that might even happen before this season. Outside of that, I think for the teams, nothing really changes too much for them.
Let me ask you this. If you're in a superintendent's position and you feel that there's a little bit of danger out there, can you be how do I put this? Can they be too careful? I mean, is there such a thing as too careful in a situation like this where you say, I don't feel good about the safety of our student athletes or our students or our students' families, and we're going to shut down athletics, until January 1st, like we've seen colleges do. Anthony, can you see Anthony Malone? Can we see? Can you see an option where that is a feasible possibility for a school here in Northeast Ohio?
I mean, it's in our region right now. We're not at the top level of stage 4 in the color code system. So I mean, I could see it if it gets worse. I mean, you have the right to control your school's safety and health. That is a definite possibility if things go awry. And you have somebody that, I mean, think about this. We're thinking about the students and the student athletes, right? But we also have teachers and coaches too. And we have administrative officials that work in the school that might have health conditions that we don't know about because we don't deserve to know. That is HIPAA. That's their right to keep that private. But it is something to be concerned about for the health of your school in its entirety.
Let's go to this question that was posed on my personal Facebook page. What about the officials? We saw it in baseball season. They were given the option that they could call pitches from behind the pitcher's mound.
Stupid.
And because of their age, do you think that there's going to be, number one, do you think officials will have an issue with this? And number two, I guess the bigger question is, will there be enough officials to cover high school football this fall? Paul, you're an official yourself. Your thoughts?
I think, first off, there's a shortage of officials to begin with, even before COVID. I mean, they were really hurting for football and basketball and baseball officials going forward. They're gonna have to wear masks. I think there's no doubt about that. They're going to be wearing masks while they're out there. And I think, listen, they want paid too. I mean, this isn't like your NFL officials that are out there who are getting a $30,000 check to not have to officiate this year instead of, officiating football games. These guys need the money. And if they're older and they choose not to do it, then they're not going to do it. And then, there's going to be a shortage of some crews around there. But I think the other thing you're looking at too is you got to think about, there's a lot of schools that are not playing. There's a lot of officials right now who I think are going to be looking for work, because when you've got entire counties shutting down their athletics and waiting until maybe spring to try to play, then I think you're going to have some officials out there needing work. And listen, these guys are going to take precautions as well. They're going to maybe have hand sanitizer wipes in their pockets from after touching the football. They'll wipe their hands, but they're going to be wearing masks. I mean, we saw it on some of the officials out here during the summer too. So
no, Anthony, if I was made of a hot dog, I wouldn't eat myself.
Heck,
or if I were made of cheese. Over to Anthony Hartwig. Anthony, this is a very interesting topic with officials. Do you see the age of the officials factoring into a decision, and safety of themselves, their families, and their loved ones?
I absolutely do. I think we saw it in baseball season. There were plenty of officials that decided not to do it because of what you said. They either had health risks themselves, or they lived with people who had health risks, and they don't want to put themselves out there. But like Paul, I don't know what to say to not just echo what Paul said, but I think there's going to be some feedback from schools that don't decide to play football that bring officials maybe to our area from maybe neighboring counties that decide not to play football. So I think officiating will be okay. There will probably be some rule changes that kind of limit the referee's contact. I think the center's going to be grabbing the ball and putting it down himself, so the officials won't have to sit over the ball and make sure everyone's set. and then let the play go. So I think there will be a couple of rule changes and a couple of differences to limit the referee's contact with the kids. But age and health will definitely play a factor in whether or not some referees want to do it in all sports, not just football.
That fourth
Paul-
and inch is just turned into a first down if you let the kids do it.
Right?
And that's it. I mean, we know, and they do the best job they can. We're not here to bash officials, but to get away from things a little bit, you're going to miss calls. And if you're focused on other things like your health, your safety, you're not going to be as eye of an eagle as most officials typically are. So I'm interested to see how things go, but I got to believe, guys, that this is not the last time we're going to discuss the health and safety of officials and the numbers that were already dwindling. As Paul said, will they come back? I know Scene had a little bit of a difficulty in getting umpires this year. So what's it going to be like with football officials? And, especially because a lot of these football officials double up and have volleyball officials or soccer officials or things like that. What is that going to do for them? So I'm interested to
just to hit on that. I think a lot of these officials probably are glad that a decision's been made. Just from ones that I've talked to through AAU scrimmages and tournaments, they were more worried if they would have moved, we'll say, like football to spring, that's where you'd really get into a problem, because a lot of them do lacrosse, football, baseball, basketball.
They do all of them,
They do it all. So now that's where you really would have got stretched out. So I think this probably alleviates some pressure off of them. And a lot of these officials, they're passionate about what they do. So I think they're excited to get back on the field and get back into the game. And for them, it's a sense of normalcy as well.
I will say this. I did have some eyebrow-raising moments this summer when I saw who basically decided to call pitches from behind the plate and who decided to call it from it's a choice. It's not stupid. It's a personal choice, Billy.
You didn't have to do it. You didn't have to do it.
You didn't have to do what?
You didn't have to umpire the game. That's how I look at it. You didn't have to do it.
So who are you going to get instead? Are they going to trot you out to call balls and strikes for your guys?
I talked to umpires too. There was almost 95% of them said they'd rather do the games behind the plate. And a lot of times what happened is the league or the commissioner of the league was forcing the issue.
Yep. I agree. When I first the summer league that we played in was the absolute prime example. The Wolfie set
Didn't you say, like, coaches can't get thrown out, you're suspended the whole year? It's like you put an umpire behind the mound. We're not supposed to argue. We're not supposed to have a discussion about this. And there's a no argument policy. Don't even bother arguing balls or straight. It's dumb. You're setting everybody up.
Yeah, I mean, in that summer league we played in, Wolfie set the parameters out there and said this is how it was going to be, and umpires were going to go, at least for the first month, behind the mound. And I immediately said, that's ridiculous. It's like, what if I want the choice? Which for me, I did. I did all the officiating for the games at South Range. I did have to go to I went to a couple places. I went out to Salem the one time, and I did go out to Western Reserve and do a game out there. But our first game was at Columbiana, and the guy was behind the mound. And I said, there's no way this guy's going to be able to legitimately call balls and strikes from back behind the mound. I was like, because you can't see the drop of the ball, where it, your vision is completely different than from being behind the plate. And whenever they came to South Range, I was behind the plate. And then Wolf kind of changed it and said, oh, well, wherever the umpire feels comfortable umpiring
discretion.
from. And so, and that was fine. And after that, I think the only place it did happen was Columbiana for like one more week. And after that, every other umpire was behind the plate. And it was that way. And it was a lot better, because then that's where you should be. But I mean, if you don't feel comfortable, then I got to agree with Billy Mack. Then don't umpire the game. You can call umpires up, and you can find somebody who's going to be comfortable enough to umpire behind the plate.
It's true. You get one of them to do the bases if you're not comfortable. Ask the other guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in this league that we played in, there was only one umpire. So, I mean, now when they came to South Range, it was different, because I split my money with another guy just to have two umpires. I said, listen, I'm willing to split the money to have two guys there, because I'm sorry, baseball is incredibly hard for one guy to do the entire game.
Yeah.
You have to have somebody else there. Now, and the thing is, if you're only going to have one umpire, then you can't.
Certain things you'll never see.
Yeah, and the thing is too, is as a coach, you can't really bitch then about it. If there's only going to be one umpire there, he's going to miss something, and you can't argue with him that much. I mean, because I'm on both sides of the line. You know, in the summertime I officiate, and in the spring I'm a coach, and I know that line, and it's a tough one to walk sometimes because you see both sides. But now, if there's two umpires there, you should be able to argue a little bit. You should be able to say, "Listen, I think you missed that call," and talk to the guy. But if there's only one guy there, there is no way he is going to see a back tag on a kid at second base, and you're going to miss it. So
let me ask you this, because all eyes are on football right now, and that's where it's at, outside of tonight at 7 o'clock on YSN, of course.
Sorry I missed that conversation, so I'm excited too, Ty.
What I would say is, would you feel comfortable, or should coaches be comfortable with the adjustment, which I think will have to be made, of less referees on a football field?
But why does there need to be less referees?
I feel like you're going to get the argument that referees don't feel comfortable.
We did in baseball, though.
They'll find somebody then. I mean, it's not like the referees are all in like a big bunch and they're all huddled around the kids. You got a back judge, you got two side judges, you got a guy who stands in the middle, you got your referee who stands behind the quarterback. Now, the guy who's got to run in the middle and place the ball, yeah, that guy maybe he wears gloves. I don't know. Maybe he has the sanitizer pads in his pocket and keeps his hand clean. But
you're already presenting the problems, and we haven't even gone around the room. So my thing is, if you draw the short straw and you're the guy that's got to run with the football and change out the footballs and everything like that, how do you explain to your family that you always draw the short straw? Or a lot of times referees or officials will do it the way of seniority, right? So if you've only been doing it 20 years and the other guy's been doing it 30 plus, you still have to do the dirty work, so to speak. So you don't
have to.
Don't do it.
You don't have to. You could say, I don't feel comfortable doing that, guys. I'm not doing tonight's game.
We don't have an abundance of officials to choose from.
Like it's also people's careers too. Like, I mean, you got to make money somehow. So it's like you can't. It's really hard to say you don't have a choice because there's a lot of people that have to work anyway, regardless of like some of these guys. This is their job. This is their main source of income.
I mean,
not at the high school level. Unless they're retired.
These guys are retired guys, most of them. If you're talking about that.
But again, what I'm trying to say is, I guess, like what DJ's also saying, with the abundance of officials, I guess beggars can't be choosers, is what it is. I mean, if there's not as many officials, we have a football season. We should just be happy with whatever we get as far as official wise.
Jeff, go ahead.
Okay, so like you've been saying, like the coaches have to think about. I just said this to Quinn. What if you get two side judges? The main official that's behind the quarterback and the back judge, and that's it. You don't get a guy spot in the football.
We're not trying to solve the problem. We're just saying, what if?
I'm just saying, would you be okay with that as a coach?
I'm in the same place I was with baseball. If we're playing, I'm happy. Yeah. Let the officials officiate. Let the coaches coach. And if there's problems, it is what it is. It's 2020. You've got bigger problems, and you're playing a sport to take your mind, your thoughts, and your efforts off of real life. That's my personal opinion. Like if they drop, what is it usually, five officials?
Yeah,
I think if they drop from 5 officials to 4 or to 3, might be pushing it a little bit. But if they drop from 5 officials to 4, I think that coaches have to understand that this is being made so you can play the game. Right, so you can get on the field and play. The same way as, what is there, 3 officials in basketball? If they have to drop down from 3 to 2, I think coaches, Quinn, you and EB will understand that, listen, they're not going to get everything like they usually would, but at least we're on the floor and we're playing. Is that an agreement?
Yeah, but and I totally agree. And I think our coaches in the area are going to be absolutely happy with, hey, we are playing. But here's the one thing I think that is the linchpin to all that, to make them happy, that you didn't mention. Everybody makes the playoffs. So you're not getting screwed if you lose a game. You're not going to miss the playoffs now. You lose a game, now you lose a game. Maybe you're seated somewhere differently now. But
all happy and good, but I heard this from the beginning of
that competitive. I was going to go where you're going. That competitive switch turns on real quick, and we saw it in Class B baseball. Maybe like a game into the season,
It was an inning into the season, Paul. It was yeah, this is for the kids, and then all of a sudden there's a call that was, I don't want to say it was blown, but it probably wasn't the way that one of the teams wanted it, and all of a sudden it wasn't for the kids anymore. It was back to, we're going to beat your ass and we're going to tell you about it. So that's what you have to look at. You can say all you want that it's not competitive, but whenever it's
I'm not saying
mano
it's
a
not
mano,
competitive.
but you know what I mean.
Competitive, but like if you know going into it, listen, no matter how I finish this year, we're making the playoffs. We still want to win our games, but we're going to make the playoffs no matter what.
It is not going to matter. I can promise you that.
If this guy blows a call, I'm going to scream at him a little bit, but it might not be as much as I would have if it. Listen, that call could have cost me a game, and now I miss the playoffs by one game. Just another adage in there.
But it can still cost you a league championship.
But is there going to be a league championship though for most of these teams? I don't think there is, because take the NE8. There's 8 schools in that. You're only playing 6 of them.
Why not?
No, not even that. You're only playing 5 of them.
If go 6-0, they're not league champions then.
What do you mean
You go 0-6 and you go win state.
You're playing 6. You're missing one
okay,
team.
I'm sorry, you are. You're playing 6 of them. You're going to miss 1. How can you say you're the league champion? You didn't play that team.
Well, if you're 6-0 when everyone else is 4-2,
what if the teams go undefeated? Are they league champions? Yes or no?
What's that?
If in the NE8, say that South Range goes undefeated, are they league champions?
Yeah.
If they didn't get to play Jefferson and Jefferson's undefeated, I'd say no.
Then you just call it co-champions. Then you're 2-1. That girl co-champion year.
So it's a tie.
It's a tie.
Tie.
My next question is this: say you go 0-7, right? Or say 0-6. Are you, as a coach, are you going to put your team in the playoffs? Yes or no?
No.
Yes.
0-6, yes. I don't care if my team doesn't win a game, doesn't score a point. If you subtract your playoff opportunity at this point, you are cheating your kids straight up, right? Am I wrong? That like I don't care if we've got a 1 in a million chance to win a state championship. I know a team that they didn't have very good odds to win a championship. They didn't have a winning record going into the state championship, and they walked away with a little bit of gold around their finger, and some people may have put tattoos on their legs. I don't know. It's all up to how they celebrate. But the reality is if you're
Your schedule is also pretty tough.
If you're 0-6, and you're given an opportunity to go to the playoffs, let your kids have a playoff opportunity and experience. Let them do it, because some of these kids will never have that again. Sebring will make the playoffs for the first time ever this year.
Do you call that play? Like, do you say that in history? Like, hey, you went to the playoffs one time, like 10 years down the road?
Why not?
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
right?
but the thing is, you got to think about this, and I mean, I guess I'm kind of torn on that because now I see your argument, DJ. But because I originally said no when you said if you're 0-6, you let your team go to the playoffs. I'm sorry, Jeff said that. I said no because here's the thing. You've lost all your games, and it's going to go. The coaches are going to sit there, and they're going to seed the teams, and now you are Sebring, and Sebring. I don't know if they're Division 6 or Division 7. I'm not sure, but they're 0-6, and they're going to get the number 1 seed, which say it could be Springfield. Springfield's 5-1, and they're going to get in there. They're going to get killed. You're going to go in there and just get murdered for no reason. I mean, take prime example. DJ, your alma mater, East Palestine.
Yep.
When they had to go play Ursuline, that was ridiculous.
But we did it.
I know you did it, but you were forced to do it though too. I mean,
sorry, Paul.
And
that's why it's called a playoff, though.
None of those players would have said.
But what happens if we win that game? You know what I mean? There's always
Party
the what if.
City, baby.
There's what if, and we weren't. If you go back in the record books. We played Ursuline, but we also played Black River Falls or whatever. We beat them. We weren't supposed to beat them. They were supposed to come in and kick our asses to the curb, but we stepped up and beat them. And I think that created a lot of doubt for Ursuline. Now, when we went between the stripes, they dominated us because they were bigger, they were faster, they were stronger, and they had kids from all over. And they will never dispute that. But I will say this. I don't care, and I think everybody's heard this and even said this at one point or another, you're always going to bet on yourself. So if I go 0-6 or I go 6-0 and we have a pass to the playoffs, I'm going and we're going to bring our A game. So if Palestine, heaven forbid, goes 0-6 into those playoffs, I'll still be rooting for the Bulldogs. I don't care if they're going up against 6-0 Springfield or they're going up against. It doesn't matter at that point. The possibility. That's why we play the game, right? That's why you play. That's why sports are so great. It's not done on paper.
Beating a two seed in March Madness.
Yeah, I see that.
It's
But
awesome.
I'm saying if you're a team that's 0-6 and you've got a small roster to begin with, and your team's been battered all season, do you opt in to play the playoffs, or do you say no? We're going to stay home and we're going to schedule a couple other small school games, and we're just going to play those just so we can keep playing? Or do
You're
I
not,
think
you're not going to play anybody that week. Everybody's going to play the playoffs.
not everybody?
Everybody's going to play the playoffs.
I don't think. I think there's going to be
If they
more
don't
schools.
play the playoffs, then they're done. They're not going to play the rest of the year. It's not gonna-
No, some schools are.
They're already scheduling.
Yeah.
Because
No, I'm saying is if that week, like everybody's going to play the playoffs that week. If there's nobody that you're not going to, who are you going to schedule that week? If you're going to go 0-6, who are you scheduling that week?
If there's another team that they say, listen, we are not going to play because we're injured, or they can just skip the week and go back and play. What is it? 8, 9, 10? Yeah, 8, 9, 10. So they can go back and do it, and because listen, if you're in a situation like
There's a
was
deadline
it Matthews that had to drop down to 7-on-7 last year or 8-on-8 or whatever it was. If there's a situation where if you can buy yourself a couple weeks or a week, and then you go back to 11-on-11, then you do it. You do it for your seniors, because the other opportune time is what? Never, because your seniors aren't going to get it back. Those seniors, you know it, Billy. Those seniors will never get the opportunity to have their senior season back from baseball, from softball, from track. Do you think they would settle for one game? Do you think they would settle for 6? Do you think they would go to the playoffs if it was set up similarly to football?
It's way different because we didn't play any games. You're going to play games. We're talking about the playoffs. You're going to play football games. It looks, as of today, you're going to play a game or multiple games.
They'll play anything you'd give them, and
And
that's my point.
And the thing is
they didn't
there's a
play
deadline.
any, so we know the senior stuff. They're going to play this year. The football team. They're going to play at least one game for sure.
Yeah, and there's going to be a deadline. When you read that, the way it's all set up, there's a deadline that you announce that you're going to make that you want to go to the playoffs. And I want to say it's like a week or two before the playoffs. You say we're opting in. We're going to play. And I think there's going to be more teams than you think opting out of playing in the playoffs and saying no, we're okay, and we're going to not risk that injury to those kids and have those kids get crushed.
The only way, and I hope this is the only way that happens, is if you get your seniors together or
And
your
let 'em
team
vote.
together and let them vote. And if they say we don't want to play, then you don't play. But if that's the case, guys, why the hell are we playing right now? Let's just wait 6-7 more weeks and play playoffs and no other games. You know what I mean? Like that. To me, it doesn't make sense. These kids are going to want to play, and they want to play with something on the line. Because if you get one win in the playoffs, that's better than no wins in the playoffs. So I'm going to be very interested. Very interested. Very interested. We knew that it would be like this. It would be all about this particular topic the entire way. So we'll take all the topics that we missed today, and we'll put them on tomorrow from 3 to 4 right here on the Power Hour. But guys, it is time for our G. Burbick Farms What's Your Beef? There's a lot to beef about, but overall it's an exciting day. It's a celebration day for many reasons. So let's get your beef. Let's start with Anthony Hartwig, of all people, because he's usually been bringing the good news. Do you have any bad news for us today, Ant?
Oh, geez. My beef is, it's hard because I'm so happy about where I was having sports.
Did you get a new chair?
I didn't get a new. No, that's gonna be in a while. That was one of my beefs a while back. You got to come through a lot of hoops to get a new wheelchair. But my beef, I guess, is with replacement umpires in the MLB. They're not looking too good. The ones that they have to bring up from minor league baseball, calling strikes that are in the other batter box. Not a good look for Major League Baseball.
Ty Bartell, we'll go to you.
I don't know. There's a lack of beef right now because I'm in the same boat as Anthony right now. I'm just happy
beef
that
shortage.
The sports.
It's all down at YSN and those chili dogs.
Yeah,
I think there's some left. Let's go, Paul. You got a beef?
No, not. Other than there's not enough time in the day because I got to go to Columbiana now, and then I got to go to Austintown with Ty later. So If I had more time, I'd be a little happier. That's the only beef I got today.
All right, let's go to the top middle. We'll go to Quinn and Jeff, and I'm sure Jeff's got a good one.
Yeah, I got a great one. Hey, DJ, can you go ahead and look it up before we get off the show? Yankees win. How many in a row? I would say 6.
Wait a second. I do have a beef. That Jeff's got his top button on his shirt all the time.
I always have my top button, babe.
Yeah, that's Paul. You took my beef.
Sorry, Quinn. It's like he's selling Bibles or something.
Quinn, do you have another one?
Yeah, I got a second one. Baseball's stupid, and anybody that complains that you got just an absolute missile sent off you because you threw it right down the center of the plate, quit complaining.
Billy, I gotta believe that was one of your beefs.
It was definitely my beef. I like. It's 3-0 and the bases are loaded. I have a beef with anybody who has an issue with people playing the game. He hit a home run. You know how hard it is to hit a home run at any level? It's super hard. And he hit it opposite field and it just scaled over the wall. Like, get out of here with this Mickey Mouse crap with, he should have took the pitch. These guys are professional players. They're getting paid to play a game. Let them play. Don't throw one down the heart of the plate. Get over it.
Don't groove one down the middle on 3-0 and expect it not to go over the wall. We're on to Anthony Malone. What do you got, kid?
Well, I'm just like everybody else. I'm overjoyed that we're back to sports here at high school level. But I guess I'm going to pick one. I'm going to pick read your messages, read your emails. If I book a meeting with you at 2 and you say, hey, was that meeting at 2? Yes, it was at 2. So of course it was at 2. So anyhow,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I went and checked my email real fast because I was like, oh man, did I have a mess or a meeting at 2? EB, what's going on?
My beef is Quinn did not put up Billy Bob as Jeff's name today.
Oh, that's right.
And also, Paul, please learn how to use technology. Even if you take these out, I can still hear you.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mute the phone. Sorry. I was dealing with some family stuff. And
yeah, we
heard. My wife's like 10 feet away. My wife's like right over here, and she goes, they can hear you. They're making fun of you now. And I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever.
Paul, do you want to go to Austintown or not? You got to tell me, okay?
Every show.
I got to go to Austintown. I got to do this. Oh, again, you were not arguing. You were discussing passionately.
Yeah.
Which I
I got 2 little girls here. One wants to go with me, one doesn't. And it's like, whatever. It's the rest of my life dealing with women.
New beef, Jabber. Gotta answer your phone there, Bailey.
And a little sorry butters for you. My beef, guys, it comes down to this. I don't want to beat up the guy that made a decision. I want to beat up the timetable in which he made that decision. He could have made this months ago, and he could have made it real easy on people. And then if worst case scenario, he had to cancel it, it could have been, hey, here's a press conference. We're going to cancel it today because things haven't got better. I don't agree with the way things have been done. I agree with the final outcome. I just don't agree with how he went about it. Kicking the can down the road is never the right answer. I don't blame him for being patient. I blame him for being reckless. And I think there's going to be personally, I hope this doesn't happen, but I can see a rash of injuries over the course, first few weeks because people aren't prepared because they've been having to have softer practices and things of that nature because we're all trying to wear the masks and have a season. And now that we have a season, let's hope we don't have injuries. Guys, happy birthday, YSN. I'm excited to see what we do over the next 3, as excited as I was to see what we did over the first. So thank you for being a part of it. Cheers to all of you. Cheers to all you fans. And again, 7 o'clock tonight, we will have the charity baseball game, Austintown Fitch and Howland, right here on the network. Until tomorrow, thanks everybody, and so long, and let's play sports.